Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. I'm dead tired, but I can't go to sleep. I can't. You might notice the natural light might be bouncing off the wall behind me. That's because it's 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 10:30 by now. And the thing is, I'm a night owl. I mean, I work till 4, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I go to bed. I do my best work at night. That's just the way I roll. But the natural world beckons me, and every so often I have to get up early for something, and then it knocks me out of whack for a couple days. So here I am in that schedule right now, and I've got, I figure I might as well be productive. So here I got a little something in the mail, though, and I got this a little bit ahead of time because I'm that kind of guy. So today I'm going to be talking to you, albeit a little groggily, about why you should be using hexagram number 6. Now, this thing is already worth its weight in gold. All right, you don't even have it in your hands yet, and you could put it on the stock market. You could place it down on the table as a bet for a $10,000 pot in poker. I mean, you just do it. And I've only leafed through this thing. I mean, I've read some things on it, but I've leafed through every chapter so I could talk to you a little bit about it, and I already know what's going on. All right, so here we go. I'm just, like I said, I'm going to do my best just to get through the basics of it, and I don't want to spoil it or anything like that, so I'm not going to do that. And I don't have any pictures over here really of it. Normally I would have a PDF and I'd show you little pictures from it, but I don't have that. So anyway, hexagram number 6. The first thing that happens is Steve gives his little intro, and he talks about the upcoming bestiary project, and he shows a picture of one of my brother who's doing the artwork for the bestiary, Christopher Isert, and he's showing one of the counters. So you get to see some of the counter artwork coming in there. And then the next page has got letters, but then right next is the first article, and man, it's worth the price of admission. And that is Rapier to Rapier Fencing in the Fantasy Trip. Okay, now what the idea of this is, and like I said, I don't want to spoil it for you guys and stuff like that. It's great. But the idea is, and this is one of the ones I read pretty much through, you know how fencing works. I mean, the guy with the rapier is going to be quicker than the big lug with the battle axe, so he can disengage until he can move to his area where his friends are, or where he has some kind of advantage, right? And that's fine. But what was about against another fencer? And this is where we're going to get into the parrying thing, and that's really cool. And of course, that includes any of the fencing weapons. And I've seen something like this talked about before, because some people wanted some people with higher dexterities to have some kind of advantage a little bit more when it comes to fencing. And the thing is, it's even better because it's only for fencers against other fencers. So otherwise, they still get their advantages when going up against the big lugs. But against other fencers, it changes a little bit. It becomes more of a kind of a contest of dexterity. Let's just put it that way. And there's 4 pages talking about it. And you just knew that Steve was going to put this in because of his love of pirates. You knew it. And I can't complain because it adds something so different. Adding fencing to the fantasy trip is just so terrific because it's just, they don't have it in any other game, really. They really don't. It's either abstract, like in Fate, for instance, or it's just nobody's going to do it because it doesn't do enough damage. There's not enough advantages to it. Next is Stefan Jones. Hit it with forged sprites. Okay, I love this. I only read like maybe one part of it, but all of a sudden I'm like, this is great stuff. I mean, the idea of these sprites that live around a forge, and the longer it, the forge stays lit, if it stays lit 24/7, they start building communities because they live and die kind of quickly. I'll just leave it for you, but man, it's one of these things like this that really make the fantasy trip not just a combat game. Okay, it's easy to look at the game and say, okay, it's just a war gamers game. It's like, no, there's some beautiful. This is even better than stuff I see in Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons seems more like just a combat game, an excuse to fight game, as compared to this sometimes. Because there are so many things here that are just so original, and it all comes in the hexagram. Henry Cobb has a nice article here about the maximum range of thrown spells. Now, there's a little bit of a thing in the rules that, if you were 5 miles away and you're throwing something like an axe, you can still hit 5% of the time, right? Because, critical hit, right? It's like, even if you're 5 miles away, it's like, okay. Obviously, you can just say no as a game master, but he does have a 3-line fix. Okay, there's a lot of clarification for some spells, but there is a 3-line fix that I really like a lot because it brings strength into the mix. All right, and I really like that because I know that people like to call strength, including Henry Cobb likes to say it's a dump stat, and I'm like, nope, this is it. So Steve asks, what do you think and stuff, and I'll let you read it and then decide. But I'll tell you right now, if Steve's listening, I don't know about all the spells and stuff like that. I'll leave that to you. But as far as those 3 lines, absolutely give strength something even more to do, and I like it. Okay, next. Worth the price of admission for the whole book. Absolutely. Gene McGuire, random mission generator. Okay, in the labyrinth, how they have how to make your own, your own labyrinth and stuff. This is all about making missions, and it's 4 pages, and there's a lot of charts. There's not just 1 or 2 every page. There is a lot. You will be rolling a lot and just having a lot of fun, just randomly creating a mission. As much as we were talking about Henry Cobb's thing being in canon, this should be in the next version of in the labyrinth. Right next to how to make a labyrinth. Randomly. Just put this in there as well. This should absolutely exist. This is too much of a tool not to. I love it. Okay, then next we have questions 3. That little thing where they ask somebody. I think the last time I seen this was they were asking the gentleman at Gaming Ballistic 3 questions. And this is interviewed by Steve Jackson. He's asking David Pulver a couple of things, and I'll let you read that. Some of it's pretty funny about how he got into writing. I thought that was pretty cool. But I'll leave it for you to read. Of course, now we've got talking about the Ultra Hex map by Howard Kistler. Definitely when you got a $50 map that I'm pretty sure that everybody and their brother bought, they're going to give you all kinds of reasons to use it. All right. Now, part of me thinks this would be perfect for the Infinite Arena, but there's other things that he's got going on here. There's a good 4 pages of random encounter setups and stuff and examples. I'm almost tempted to read it in front of you and stuff like that. I don't want to do that. I let you read it, and I just want to bore you while I'm trying to read something. Next is this 1-page article by some guy, A Tool of Flesh, some bald-headed Oompa Loompa without any candy. I don't know who this guy thinks he is. Next, this is hilarious. The Household Grimoire. Is that how you say it, Grimoire? Grimoire. I've read it all my life. I just don't say it a lot, so I don't know. It's too bad you can't phonetically type it in, maybe in the comments below. Tell me what's up. Now this is by John Paul Bakshonian. I say Grimoire wrong. I'm afraid I'll say his wrong. Bakshonian. All right, sounds good. This is hilarious. At first, I'm like, oh, is this a special spell book? It is. It's a special spell book, but for your house. I gotta read 2 of these. Come on. Sleep spell is about when the little one calls out at night for mommy and you're not getting rest, or when the cares of the Lord keep him up to an unhealthy hour. Don't use a sleeping draft. Tuck him in with this special spell. So it's like household uses for some of the most common items, common spells in the fantasy trip. But there's tons of them here. Close vision, and just the reasons he gives is just hilarious. That's great. It kind of shows you a little bit also about how magic actually would be used in society if it was prevalent, right? So yeah, it would be a little bit more commonplace for a lot of things. Could you imagine a wizard cleaning service? Why not? Does every wizard want to go out and rule the world or kill somebody? Yeah. Jake's cleaning service, just a zoomph. Alakazam, and your room's clean. 5 gold pieces. Then there's Gregory Miller with Growls, which are moss, bracken, briar, and bramble. It's a special monster about, another plant, which is always good. That's one of the things I like about the fantasy trip is they really went to town on the plants. Makes it special. You know, I mean, yeah, every fantasy has some plants and stuff like that, but they're usually pretty boring. They're just a big uh, fly trap or some kind of something out of Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, these are a little bit more subtle. So there's a lot of those in there, and it's good 4 pages of information and stats there. And this is interesting. Benjamin Pugh writes a medium, a new proposed talent, medium. And the reason this was put in, because the editor, I believe Steve, would say it's definitely not official, but because they want to resist making more talents, right? But because of the Book of Unlife, and this doesn't do anything to usurp any other builds and stuff like that, they said, okay, we'll leave it to you, but it's not official. Okay. Next is Kelly Nall with the Stench Snake. Stench Snake. Pretty nasty creature. It's got basically makes everybody groggy. Is the simplest way to put it. But they go on to talking about how it can be used for alchemy. And so some interesting stuff there. And of course, Philip Reed talks more about creating the infinite arena. No doubt to give you a little insight about how it was created, but also to remind you, since you now have that fancy dancy Ultra Hex playmat, I sense, since he is like the CEO, and I think he's got a thing for marketing. I think he says, what'll be good? Do you want fries with that? Yes, I will take a large, please. Okay, then we got Anthony Shostak, again with the Naturalist Notebook, and he went to town. It's like he all of a sudden, man, he had about 4 creatures, I think, last time. Maybe I'm wrong. But this one's like, he's got 8 new creatures in here. All kinds of, I haven't gone over them. I know his last stuff was good. And this one seems like it's all kinds of things going on here. So I look forward to dealing in that one. Now, and the last one is by P.D. Haney. It's kind of funny because I live on Haney Road, so I know how to pronounce that name. And this is fiction. I haven't gone over it, but it really looks like I really look forward to it, and I wouldn't doubt it's very good, or it wouldn't be in this beautiful little book. Now, just to remind everybody, this also we're all looking forward to getting the Adventures book. Has new adventures in there. I believe 5 new ones just to match the other one with counters and everything. So that's good. Then we also have the old school monsters, the classics that we all know, that this is going to be with an open license from Dungeons and Dragons with their OGL license. So we said, hey, why don't we make them? Because that's true. Who wouldn't want to just be able to say, hey, let's go up against a beholder and such, because it's commonplace. What are they going to do? I know they try to say, oh, let's call it not them, but somebody else tried to call them eye tyrants because of all the copyright stuff. It's like, look, we got the license. Let's put out the old school monsters so everybody's on the same page about some things, Who doesn't want to go up against displacer beasts, right? And that would be cool for the fantasy trip. And that's another thing. These are all done for the fantasy trip. Beautiful. And of course, I think if you've gotten your, I hope when you got your pledges in there, that a lot of you ordered that Zodiac die that I talked about in a special video, just because I think you definitely should grab it. I think you can grab it right now on Warehouse 23, and so if you haven't grabbed it while getting this on with your pledge, if you got it through the Kickstarter, please, by all means, do so. Read that video watch that video first if you need some convincing. But anyway, guys, that is Hexagram 6 preview, and I'll see you next video, hopefully after a long night's rest.